Hello everyone! Maraming salamat po for standing by. Kamusta po ang lahat? Magandang gabi. Happy Saturday night. Magandang umaga sa mga nandito po sa amin. Pag-uusapan natin ngayon, special topic. The last time we talked about yung mga pagkain na dapat nating iwasan para po tayo ay umayat. So ngayon naman pag-uusapan natin, okay, so kung yun ang dapat pag-iwasan, ano naman ang dapat kainin? So the very first step is, kung hindi pa po ninyo nagagawa, para po smooth ang ating flow ng discussion natin ngayong gabi, very first step is to download the food guide. We're coming up with a clearer version po nito kasi maraming nagsasabi that they cannot read. So, inayos po namin yung food guide, standby po. Pero if you download it, it's picture format. Pag dinownload po ninyo and you pinch and zoom out po yung ginaganon lang, then you'll be able to read kung ano po yung nandyan. So yun po yung very first step. Ano po, kasi yung mga bago pa lamang sa journey na ito. So today, specifically, we're talking about how do we optimize our health. Kasi dito po sa platform natin, we're always talking about leveling up in different aspects. So sa health po, and I am a big advocate of this, pinag-uusapan natin lagi yung low carb and fasting type of nutrition regimen. So, kung ganun po, kailangan natin ng some form of gabay. And this is why we have this food guide, this is why we have yung group natin. Kasi syempre, minsan kailangan natin ng konting tulong sa ating imagination. Minsan, ayan na nga yung food guide, but how do we actually create mga combinations? Ano po? So, iisa-isahin po natin yan ngayon. And let me see if I can share my screen. Let's see. I'll try my best to share itong ating screen at puno na po yung itong ating file dito. Anyway, if it won't let me share, it's okay. I'm gonna read off from the food guide itself. So, and also I'll try to answer a few questions na nakita ko po doon sa, yung nakita ko po dito sa ating mga comment section. And pag hindi po nasagot, don't worry. I always go live. We have 3 broadcasts a week. So, kung hindi nasagot yung inyo pong mga tanong, ilagay lamang po dyan at we are pulling these questions para po masagot natin because I know that they're repetitive. Marami pong nagtatanong ng ganun ding mga questions katulad ng sa inyo. Kasi, for example, yung mga tanong tungkol sa high blood pressure, ganyan, diabetes, in relation to this. So, kung pag-uusapan nga natin, ano nga ba yung mga kakainin natin, then, first of all, we have to be aware of the 3 groups of macronutrient. So, sa atin pong uri ng nutrition na pinopromote, gusto po natin yung tinatawag na nutrient dense. Nutrient dense. So, let me type that down for you. Ibig sabihin po nung nutrient dense ay gusto natin as much as possible, nandun po lahat ng sustansya. Hindi natin gusto yung sinasabi na yung mga nakakasanayan ng iba na klase ng pagda-diet na, halos I always talk about this na yung mga iba kaya hindi nasusustain yung kanilang healthier lifestyle is because yung klase naman po ng kanilang pagda-diet is very restrictive. Yun po ay halos wala nang pwede. Lahat bawal. Kung mapapansin niyo dito sa ating food guide, marami pong pwede. So everything in green and the things that are in yellow can all be eaten. Only yung mga nasa pula po ang i-avoid natin, which are our refined carbs. But basically, napakarami pong choices. Kaya nga po yung mga nagsasabi, okay lang po ba yung mag-cheat? Okay lang daw po ba mag-cheat? Kasi yung sa mga members ng community natin nag-exercise din. You see me exercising a lot. I promote exercising a lot. So, sila ay naglo-low carb, for example, and then sila ay nag-exercise, and then minsan ang kadalasang tinatanong lagi, okay lang po ba yung nag-cheat? Bakit kailangan mag-cheat? Bakit kailangan po, you have so many nice choices na naandito sa ating green and yellow portion. There's really no need na mag-cheat. So ayan, yan po yung nutrient dense, yung sinasabi ko po kanina, kailangan yung pagkain kine-create natin, syempre, nutrient dense, satisfying. So kailangan po masarap yung combination. Masarap na uri ng pagkain. And there's so many choices. And makikita natin yan dito sa ating food guide, and yun nga, isa-isahin natin yan. So the first premise, again, is it has to be what we call balanced in a way na siya ay nutrient dense. Of course, keeping in mind the first requirement, which is dapat siya ay low carb. So low carb, first of all, sa mga bago pa lamang po, first of all, let's talk about this. Let's talk about yung tatlong uri ng, I always share this, and doon po sa mga medyo advanced na, pasensya na kayo at kailangan ko na namang ulitin dahil we have many new followers, many people who are on here who are really new to the concept, and kailangan po ng gabay, how to really properly do this. So, ang pinakaunang concept is to know first yung inyo pong allowance for the day. Kung bagong-bago lamang kayo at kayo ay may maraming weight na kailangang matanggal. So let's say, for example, your goal is 30 kilos, or kayo naman ay nandito dahil meron kayong medical condition na medyo matindi-tindi. For example, uncontrolled diabetes, or napakataas ng presyon ninyo, or yung cholesterol ninyo ay sobrang taas na at hindi na makayanan ng usual na gamot. So, any medical condition na talagang kailangan ng i-address, then you have to obviously go and do more intense measures. And so, kung sa ganun po, then you probably will need to be in the ketogenic or moderate, like low moderate. So ano bang ibig sabihin yan? Ibig sabihin yan, yung inyong net carb allowance. So nandiyan po sa baba, yung definition niya. So for example, the ketogenic, nakalagay, net carb allowance niya is under 20 grams per day. So yun po yung definition noon. And the ketogenic obviously is more effective than yung moderate. Kasi moderate will give you 20 to 50 grams per day. And andyan sa plato yung parang mga example how that looks like. So yung karne, which is yung steak na naandito, hindi yan counted sa carbs kasi protein po yan. Kung maalala po natin, 3 grupo ng macronutrients. Ito yung kinakailangan natin para tayo'y, the usual group of nutrients that we eat sa pang-araw-araw. And sa totoo lang po, only really the protein is essential. Fat is also important because it helps absorb certain vitamins, but yung carbohydrate po is really non-essential. So although part siya ng macronutrient groups, however, hindi po siya essential. And so, yung atin pong low carb nutrition guide is really based on this premise. Merong mga carbohydrates na mababa ang kanilang net carb. So for example, yung atin pong mga gulay, and the reason why we promote eating them is because of yung iba po pong kanilang mga nutrient na naandoon po. Usually mga gulay, green leafy vegetables, marami yan ng mga antioxidants. Alam po natin yan, yung kanila pong fiber. So most of them, bakit nga ba mababa ang net carb nila? It's because mainly composed sila ng fiber. And so when it's more fibrous, hindi po yan na-absorb, and yung kanyang net carb ay bababa dahil konti lang yung carbohydrate no na talagang ma-absorb mo in the form of glucose. So sa ganung pamamaraan, then they're okay to have in our diet kasi they help with yung pong pag-move sa ating mga bituka nitong mga fiber na ito at nakakatulong sa ating pagdumi, nakakapagpababa ng cholesterol, yung fiber. So, in that way, we're still advocating, and plus pa nga, yung mga nutrients na naandoon po sa mga gulay. And so that's why even though they are actually carbs, however, yung gulay ay pinopromote pa rin natin, especially above ground vegetables. So, yun po yung parang initial concept po, And so now, let's go to yung isa-isahin na natin yung ating food guide. So the first one is yung Go Eat Freely section. So kung hindi pa po ninyo na-download ito, and if you want po PDF version of this, let us know kasi magko-compile kami ng mga resources po natin and we can send to you as a bundle. Sign up po kayo doon sa group, so yung Level Up Wellness Community, and ipopost ko doon kung sino ang gusto ng mga, so yan, yung Level Up Wellness Community, yung mga hindi pa po members, then mag-sign up po doon and we will put these resources po doon para mas malinaw. So, if you see the food guide, lalagay ko lang dito ulit, then you will see the division po. Ano? So, first, pag-usapan natin yung green section. First section is yung Go Eat Freely section. So, nakalagay dyan, mainly composed of whole foods, unprocessed. So, gusto natin the more natural. So, the closer it is to yung kanyang natural na form. So, for example, yung pork, siya ay galing talaga dun sa pagkakatay ng baboy. The more natural it is at hindi pinoseso, hindi inilagay sa lata. For example, right? Like mga luncheon meat and all that. So, between yung luncheon meat, which is already processed, and yung pork na talagang bagong butcher lang, then we prefer whole food. So, unprocessed food, whole food, yun pong ibig sabihin nun, then yun ang pipiliin natin. So, yun yung unang premise po, ano? And then, nakalagay dito, keep your net carbs between 20 to 50, or 20 or below if you really like doing keto, to stay low carb. And nakalagay pa dito, second line, nakalagay dyan, it's best to eat a combination from proteins, fats, and low-carb vegetables to make itong ang tinatawag natin na nutrient-dense meal. Nutrient-dense. Kompleto sa sustansya para ito ay nourishing para sa atin and in a way, balance according to our needs. So, nakikita niyo yung three major divisions. Proteins, carbohydrates, fats. Pag kayo ay gagawa ng inyong low-carb plate, first of all, i-consider natin yung pinaka-essential. Ano yung pinaka-essential dyan sa tatlong na yan? Na nabanggit ko po, yung protein. So, the protein is the most essential. So, kung siya ay pinaka-essential, mag-focus tayo doon. So, how do you do that? Pili lang po kayo. So, for example, dito sa list, yung protein naka-divide sa 4. First is meat and eggs. So, maraming nagtatanong, pwede ba yung mga karne ganun? Kung kayo po ay kumakain ng karne, then obviously, yes. Siyempre, kung kayo naman ay plant-based, marami din po kayong iba pang choices. So, hindi naman tayo namimilit. We respect your own preference. Kasi meron din po mga vegan, meron din po ditong mga vegetarian, mga ganun po. Or mga tao na hindi masyadong mahilig sa karne, that's also okay. You have your plant-based options. So, meat and eggs, anong klase nga po ba? So, syempre, nandyan po yung pork, nandyan po yung chicken, so poultry. Ang nilagay natin dito is preferably, as much as possible, yung responsibly sourced. Kung maaari sila ay pastured, ibig sabihin sila ay free na gumala sa kanilang yung kanilang environment, hindi yung parang nakakulong na magkakatabi as much as possible. Kung hindi naman talaga posible, then, whatever is available. But if you have the choice and resources na bumili, for example, ng pastured, yung pinaka-natural, kahit yung animal na kakainin natin, kung sila ay sa pinaka-natural na environment nila, and eating also natural food, less antibiotics, less po yung mga chemical stimulation, less hormone. Kasi karamihan, ini-injectionan yung mga animals ng hormones eh. So, we are very privileged kasi dito po sa amin, in US, Canada, you have the option to buy these organic type of meat, yung mga grass-fed na tinatawag na mga beef. Syempre, it comes at a price. I understand hindi yan widely available sa ibang bansa. Like in the Philippines, I'm not so sure there kung ano po ang situation. But other industrialized nations, karamihan ng supermarkets, may division po yan. Merong yung mga ganyan, organic na types of meat, and merong mga meat na parang farmed. So, it's up to you kung meron po kayong resources. Hindi naman tayo namimilit kung talagang wala. What can we do? However, if you have the resource and the choice, then go for organic as much as possible. Ang kagandahan sa lifestyle na ito, when you're doing intermittent fasting and low carb, you will find that you don't really need to buy a lot. You don't really need to buy a lot of food. And so, yung savings po na yun, kasi syempre imagine if you're doing OMAD, you're only eating once a day, right? So yung savings na makukuha mo doon, maaari na natin i-invest yun sa pagbili ng higher quality types of meat. And ito na nga po yung organic. So less antibiotics, less hormones, or not at all. And as much as possible in their natural environment. So pag mga baka, grass-fed, pag mga poultry, and yung mga pork, then yung pastured. So natural environment. So yun po yung unang part ng listahan. And then andito rin po yung mga ibang uri, like lamb. If you eat lamb, and then of course yung mga internal organs. May mga nagtanong po niyan, pwede bang kumain ng mga internal organs? Pwede naman po. Again, as reliably sourced as possible, as responsibly farmed as possible. So yun po yung unang part. So protein. So marami pong pagpipilian. And of course, kasama sa protein yung eggs. So itlog, kasama po dyan. So yun yung pinakauna po. So when you're creating a meal, una muna natin protein. So decide na kayo, ano nga ba ngayon ang aking protein? Will it be chicken today? Ngayon ba ay eggs lamang? Ngayon ba ay lamb? So whatever you want. And then the next option ng protein is sa mga plant-based naman po natin. Dito pumapasok lahat ng mga seeds and nuts, nut butters, yung mga klase ng legumes. So lentils, being mindful ng net carb amount. Ano po? Kasi lentils, they're healthy, beans, chickpeas, mga ganyan. However, yung kanilang net carb content can be a little bit high if you don't watch it. Okay? And so, ito po yung plant-based section natin. So, pakibasa na lamang po dyan para sa mga gusto mag-plant-based. Now, pagdating naman po sa seafood, kumusta po yung seafood natin? Seafood are also protein. So, mga wild-caught fish, again, as natural form as possible. Mas gusto natin yung wild-caught. Yung hindi po farmed, kung posible, dahil healthier po yun. And then we can have yung mga shellfish, mga lobsters, mga ganun po, seaweeds, crabs. These are all okay to have po. So, and then others will be, so yung mga nagluluto dyan, or yung mga nag-workout, whey protein, you can have that. Egg white protein, gelatin, galing sa mga grass-fed, hormone-free sources are recommended. So, nandun po yan lahat sa ating listahan. Now, let me see if I can upload some of these things here. Tingnan natin. So, nilabas na po namin ito. I think we already published this one. And makikita nyo po yan po, So, yan, for example, is yung ating mga seafood. And then, meron din tayong meat. Give me a moment. I'm trying to find yung mga meat options natin. So, yan po yung mga, lahat po ito, we're always sharing this. So, ito yung kaka-mention ko pa lang, yung mga nuts, mga proteins, ano po. Yan, so, again, these are all available po sa ating pages. Nandiyan po yan sa Iris Radev MD page. I've already shared this one. And then, ito po yung ating, yan, so, proteins. And now, yung next section po natin will be, so if you go again doon sa ating food guide, we're simply like going through yung mga pagkain na naandun po. So next section will be yung carbs. So anong uri nga ba ng carbs? So ito po yung mga pwede. So after ninyong mapili yung inyong protein, then it's time for you to choose your carbs. Again, carbs are non-essential. Pero para magkaroon ng variety yung atin pong plate at para maging more nutrient dense siya, then we're allowing certain vegetables. So maraming choices po ang vegetables. Ayan po, nakikita nyo. Green leafy, so mga above ground vegetables, ano po, nandyan po yung ating mga, the usual, mga lettuces, spinach, mga kangkong will be there. Nandyan din po yung ating mga things like eggplants, bamboo shoots, nandyan din, broccoli, syempre. Andyan po yung mga asparagus. So green leafy, napakarami pong choices niya. So you can put that on the side of your plate and that can be your carb. So kung makikita nyo, ibang-iba naman po yan versus yung, excuse me, so tingnan nyo po ito. Itong uri ng carbs, this kind of carbs versus ito po so ibang-iba naman po. Look at this, 50 grams ng carbs sa isang plato from mga tinapay, kapiranggot na kanin, kapiranggot na spaghetti and potatoes versus this kind of carbs. Carbs din naman po yan. Tingnan niyo, 20 grams. 20 grams of carbs. Right? So this is definitely a healthier version po, So, tingnan niyo yan, nag-uumapaw na mga gulay sa isang plato, only gives you 20 grams. Samantalang yung mga nakasanayan natin na carbs na ganyan, 50 grams na agad. Here is again another perspective. Look at that. Ganyan karami. Yung 50. So, 50 versus 50. Yan. Ibang-iba po, Malayong-malayo. So, ito pong mga ito, so again, these are the gulay that you can have. And these are also the kinds of carbs na fruit that you can have. Kasi maraming nagtatanong about fruits. Ano daw bang fruits ang pwede kainin? I understand dyan sa atin, it's syempre tropical, iba din yung choices. So you can have coconut. You can have avocado for sure, right? Olives, I think, is also already widely available there. Mga berries, medyo mahirap. Wala dito sa list, and I think I have to update this, but you can also have cantaloupe, yung melon, but just be mindful of the amount, keep the amount lower, and the other fruit that you can have na tropical is also watermelon. So watermelon and cantaloupe are also okay to have. So melon and watermelon, okay din po. Yung mga nakasanayan po nating ibang prutas, ito inilabas ko na to before. Yan, so ayan po, coconut, lemon, cantaloupe, watermelon, okay. Peach, okay lang din. And then, everything na karamihan, unfortunately, ng mga tropical fruits natin, pineapples, mangoes, medyo on the higher side. And bananas, we have to, cut down. Kung mag-a-apple naman tayo at peras, pwede rin, pero perhaps small amounts. So, sa group namin, recently may nag-post ng fruits. That's okay, basta smaller amounts kasi be mindful of the net carbs. Ano po? Yan. So, yan po yung second portion ng ating food guide, right? So, we already talked about the protein. We already talked about the carbs. So, yun nga, carbs will mainly be vegetables and fruits. Hindi po yung carbs na baked goods. Ano po, hindi ganon. And then finally, we have yung fats. So, fats, sino po ang takot sa fats dito? Maraming takot sa fats. Sabi nila, naku, mataas ang cholesterol ko. Kakain pa ba ako niyang fat? Nakakatakot yan. So don't be afraid of fats. Fats, natural fats, are essential kasi kailangan sila for absorption ng mga vitamins natin. Vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. Kung walang fat, di sila ma-absorb. So don't be afraid to eat natural fat. Pag sinabi mong fat, ano ba yan? Kakatakot ba? Hindi po, ito po yung mga fat. Tingnan ninyo. These are natural fats existing in nature. Tingnan nyo yan. Nakakatakot ba siya? So, definitely not. These are the natural oils that we have that we recommend. So, ayan po, avocado oil, macadamia oil, olive oil, coconut, MCT oil. Karamihan sa mga naglo-low carb, familiar dyan, nilalagay nila yan sa kanilang bullet coffee. So, pwede po yan ilagay sa kape. Ayan. So, another form of fat. Tingnan natin. Ayan, butter. Butter, chicken fat, lard. Ito, ang favorite ko is this ghee butter. Kasi mataas po ang smoke point niyan. Ibig sabihin, when you are cooking with it, kahit mataas na yung temperature, for example, frying, okay lang po siya compared to other plant-based fat like olive oil. Ito po, less ang gamit natin sa avocado, for example, olive oil when frying kasi yung kanilang smoke point mababa. So mas magandang gamitin itong mga uri ng saturated fat from animals. So like my particular favorite is ghee. Clarified butter po yan. But you can also use tallow, which comes from beef, lard, which comes from pork, and then pwede rin ang goose fat, duck fat, and the usual, of course, butter, yung butter po, ano. So maraming takot sa butter, but you will need to eat some fat nga because hindi siya kasing essential ng proteins, but you will need to eat some fat because of the absorption ng vitamins, and especially if you are in the keto, like low carb, you're training your body to use fat, to burn fat as fuel. So ito nga yung sinasabi natin dito lagi, fat adaptation po, ano? So to get into fat adaptation, your body has to be used to eating, to burning fat for fuel. So yun po ang ating mga fat sources. And let me see, meron pa tayo ditong isang resource. Give me a moment. So, ito naman, plant-based. Kung kayo naman ay hindi kayo kumakain ng meat, then these are your plant-based fats. So, mainly coming from, obviously, seeds. So, nandyan po yung ating walnuts, pecans, low net carb yan, coconut, of course. So, we're so lucky. Kasi sa Philippines is, we have so much coconut. Ano po? Napakaraming coconut. We also have avocado. And of course, sa abroad, these things are widely available all year round. Chia seeds is a very natural form of source of fat. So chia seeds, you can put that in your water. So pwedeng lagyan ng konting lemon, konting chia seeds, tubig lang, and yeah, then you have your source of fat. Macadamia, flax seeds, hemp seeds. So yun po yung ating mga sources of fat. And let me see, meron pang isa na source. Give me a moment. I'm trying to find it. Marami po kasi ditong mga pictures. Yeah, so the other sources of fat are these things. So butter, grass-fed meat again, emphasis on the more natural form ng animal na, either pasteurized or grass-fed. Then you have your full-fat yogurt. So be very careful about yogurt po, kasi especially yung mga nandito po sa abroad, yogurt kasi are being sold in the market. I'm not so sure sa Philippines kung common na yung mga flavored yogurt, but here, very common yung mga flavored yogurt na yan. And kadalasan pa, tinatanggal nila yung fat ng yogurt. So imagine, if you remove the fat ng yogurt, anong i-add mo dun? Di syempre sugar. So very carefully read labels po. Make sure to read the label and make sure na yung part na sinasabi doong carbohydrates and carbohydrates ay mababa as much as possible, kung posibleng less than 5 grams. I understand pag yogurt, kailangan talaga nila mag-add ng some sugar, but keep it the minimum, the lowest as possible. Ang nakita ko dito sa amin, lowest number niya is around less than 5 grams. So kung maaari, ganung klase ng yogurt yung bibilin natin, yung plain yogurt or yung tinatawag na Greek yogurt. Kasi yun po ang mababa sa sugar. Mababa yung carbs niya, hindi siya nilagyan ng kung ano-anong additives para maglasang strawberry, for example. You just eat like regular strawberry. Ano po? So, yun lang ang po natin. And kanina again, I'm just trying, I think I found yung visual ng ating meat. Okay, so yung kanina, hindi ko na ipakita. I think this one. So, Sa protein kanina natin, sorry, this is fat. Ayan, ito pa po pala, mga sources ng other fat. So, fatty fish and seafood. So, ayan po, iba't iba po yan. Nandyan yung oyster, mussels, caviar, salmon, mackerel, tuna. So, pag medyo kapos ang budget, as much as possible, kung mas maganda yung tunay na meat ng tuna, but kapos ang budget, pwede rin naman yung delata. Also, same thing with sardines. So, medyo kung tayo kinakapos, that's better than eating carbs. Ano po? So, yeah. So, those are your other options for fat. Mga fish. Fatty fish. So, nakikita nyo po, there's no reason to be afraid of fat. Hindi kailangan matakot sa fat. Kasi the naturally occurring fat in nature, kung nakikita nyo naman, right, these are very healthy actually. Mga fish. Fatty fish. So, yan. So, again, don't worry. Lahat po ito ay ipopost natin doon sa ating pages. And then, I think, I'll be talking more about this in the future sa susunod nating broadcast, yung mga things to eat in moderation. But, kasi may mga nagtatanong, pwede ba yung mga ganyan? Yes, you can eat them. But again, here, caution. It's part of itong ating pause list. Di po ba yung nakikita nyo na ating food guide, may yellow portion dito, yung pause. Pause kasi kailangan pag-isip-isipan. Eat in moderation kasi meron pa rin silang either insulin-stimulating effect or they can trigger inflammation. Kasi nga, may pinagdaanan silang proseso. So these are processed things. So kanina, and I'll talk more about this sa next broadcast natin, like these things here. So pwede naman yan, but let's try to keep them in moderation, eat at a minimum dahil nga kung mas whole food, mas whole yung food, mas unprocessed, healthier yun, less ang kanyang inflammatory effect obviously compared kapag ang mga pagkain ay prinoseso na. So these things have already been processed and cured. You can still have them, but again, eat in moderation. And just a note here ng beef jerky, that has to be yung walang added sugar po. Ano? So, like personally, I like yung biltong. Ito po, nasa dulo biltong, which is a South African type of parang beef jerky. Wala pong asukal yan. So, beef jerky, be very careful. Basahin yung label. Pag nakita po, usually beef jerky, napakataas ng asukal niyan. Kasi they make it sweet para masarap snack. But again, be careful. So, yun lang po yung ngayon. I'm gonna go again further down our food guide sa susunod na broadcast. So, may part 2 po ito. Watch out po sa part 2. Let me have a look at the comments here. I'll try to answer what I can. Let's see. Hanap po ako nandito. Hello po kay Miss Helena Garcia. Hi. Kuya Ron in the island. Hello po. Thanks for tuning in. Marlin is here. Marlin Miranda. Hello. Tuna. Hello. Yeah, sabi ni Miss Valley, kailangan daw ng food guide lagi. Yeah, that's true po. So sa mga hindi pa nag-download, paki-download po yun. And sino po yung may tanong? Let me have a look. Gandang gabi sa mga kaibigan natin dyan sa Dubai, kaibigan natin sa Japan. Okay, ito tanong ni Miss or Mr. Jogmon AJ. Is it okay to eat ampalaya with egg every day? Yeah, ampalaya po is very healthy. So you can certainly eat that. It's also been known to have a sugar-lowering effect. So ampalaya is okay. Egg is okay to eat every day. So kung natatandaan nyo po, yung mga takot dyan sa eggs, kasi nga, for the longest time tayo ay na-brainwash. Sabihan tayo, huwag kakain ng itlog. Masama yan, kasi yung mga cholesterol. But it's really not true. Ang 4 na itlog po ay may 30 grams of protein. And kung matatandaan natin, ang computation natin ng protein is 1.2 to 1.7 grams per kilogram body weight. So kung, for example, for someone like me, it will be around mga, let's say, 85 grams of protein. So kung ang 4 na itlog merong 30 grams, then certainly I can have more. Can even have 12 eggs a day. Ano po? But syempre maganda yung may variety naman. So yes, you can eat ampalaya with egg. Kung gusto nyo po, araw-araw okay lang. Para din yung cauliflower na substitute for rice. You can have that every day. That's fine. And sino pa po? Ito may tanong, Miss Hanny Stepmarie, paano kapag hypothyroid? Wala na kasing thyroid. Ano po kaya maganda? Hirap mag-lose ng weight. So very first step, so lahat po ng ating mga hypothyroid patients, hypo or hyper. Hypo, mababa ang paggana ng kanilang thyroid. Hyper, masyado namang hyper yung thyroid nila, masyadong mataas yung activity. Very first step, pa-check muna po natin yung number. So, pasuri muna sa doktor at ipa-check yung number, order ng laboratory, tingnan kung nasaan po kayo. Kasi very important yung pag-control, yung pag-stabilize ng hormone na yan. Dahil hanggat hindi po yan stable, kahit po anong gawin ninyo sa inyong diet, it will impact your metabolism. So, always have that checked first. Pag alam na po ninyo yung level, kung nasaan kayo, then you can, if it is stable, then you can go ahead po. Tell your doctor again about your intent to do low carb or fasting. Dahil kung kayo umiinom ng gamot for the thyroid, meron pong requirement yan. Excuse me. Although, yung thyroid medication can actually be taken on an empty stomach. So that's okay. But again, always po, although nandito ako to give you information, I'm not your doctor. You have to consult your doctor, get the necessary checkups, necessary workups done. Magpatingin, magpasuri. Okay, so erythritol, magandang tanong. How much erythritol or stevia is allowed per day? Like yung nilalagay sa avocado shake. Okay, so ito, wala po itong hard and fast rule. Just a note about sugar substitutes. Ito po yung importanteng malaman tungkol dyan. Ano po? There's no such thing. Nakita niyo po yung post ko. Ano po? There's no such thing as really a safe sugar substitute. Why do we say that? Although meron tayong mga preferred, dito po sa ating food guide, meron po, makikita nyo dyan sa yellow part. Ito po, yung mga sweeteners. Ayan po, may allowed, yan, sa part na yan, may allowed po tayong mga sweeteners. And those are erythritol, monk fruit, stevia, xylitol. However, caution din po sa amount. Wala po talaga yan na ceiling. Wala tayong masasabi na, hanggang 1 teaspoon ka lang ganyan. Wala pong ganun. Just caution kasi every time you use a sweetener, ano ginagawa niya? You are potentially triggering yung craving, yung sweet craving, yung addiction pathway po ng ating brain. Ano po? Kasi that sweetness that's being perceived by the tongue as sweet and then it sends the signal. It triggers yung dopamine pathway, which is the reward pathway na, some people, especially yung may mga mood issues, yung mga nagko-cope by eating, itong pathway na ito is very sensitive. Every time na, they're feeling down or depressed or whatever, and they cope with the eating, isa ito sa mga pathways na nati-trigger. And that is why nagkakaroon talaga ng addiction sa sugar. So, as much as possible, kung maaari nating i-minimize yung pagpapatamis lagi ng pagkain natin. Even some of the community members know that I bake a lot. Ako'y nagbe-bake. And so, even when I'm doing that, I always cut down yung amount to make it not so sweet. So, mawala yung trigger na yon ng sweet craving. Kasi once nandyan na yung sweet craving na yan, minsan, especially if you're vulnerable, magtutuloy-tuloy siya. Right? And so gusto nga natin siyang i-cut down. So to answer your question, wala po siyang, ceiling talaga. It hasn't been established, but I would caution in always sweetening yung inyong mga drinks as much as possible. If you can keep it to a minimum, like maybe limit it once a day kayong may ganito. Kasi essentially, this is kind of considered like a snack. Ano po, yung paggawa ng mga shakes and that. It's considered almost like a snack or dessert. So dessert, it's okay to eat probably na lang yung whole food niya, like berries or the avocado itself. And occasionally, if you want to do the shake, then okay. But again, try to keep yung sweetener to the minimum as possible para hindi ulit na-trigger yung addiction pathway ng sugar at hindi kayo constantly nagki-crave ng tamis to shut down itong dopamine pathway. So that's what I can say about that. And thank you for asking that question. Dark chocolate. okay lang po ito. Again, same thing with choosing. So first of all, read the label. There are certain chocolate brands like yung Lily brand dito sa abroad. I don't know kung ano yung mga brands po natin dyan. But read the label muna. Basahin muna ilang carbs. Ang content noon, usually yung mga low-carb, keto type of chocolates will have like less than 5 grams and usually dark. So anything na 70% and up na cocoa will be dark, considered siya as a dark chocolate. And again, the key step is to read yung amount ng sugar na nilagay nila doon. Kasi minsan, napansin ko lately, kahit yung Lindt, I used to love Lindt, yung Lindt chocolate, yung Swiss chocolate. Even yung kanilang, meron silang 70% eh. Tapos pagtingin ko, ang taas pala ng asukal na nandun. Meron din naman sila yung lower sugar na 90% yung cocoa nila, lower sugar. So, very important to read the label. And pag-uusapan po natin yan next time, sa next live, yung pagbabasa ng label. So, the next live natin, pag-usapan natin yung moderate, mga pagkain naman na nasa moderate. So, today, pinag-usapan natin lahat ng nasa green. And ilalabas ko after nito yung visuals ng mga green. So, next time, pag-usapan natin yung mga nasa yellow. And, yeah. One last question, and I'm gonna go. I'll see you again next time. One last question. Let's have a look. Ito, may question ba siya? No rice na po ako since November 2019 from 75, 53 na lang. Goal ko po 47, during pandemic naging 56. Okay, so very, very important po. Ano? So this is a great, great comment. Yo-yo effect. Bakit ganyan? Naging ano na siya, 53, medyo creeping up. So there's such a phenomenon po called type ko lang. There is a phenomenon called, kailangan na nating magtanggal ng, okay. Ito. Yeah, there is such a phenomenon called carb creep. So, carb creep. Ngayon, ano ba ibig sabihin niya ng carb creep na yan? So, it was great that you gave up rice. So, napakaganda po no. Nag-give up nyo na po yung rice. Ano po kayo? So, na yung comment. Ayan. However, hindi lang po rice ang ating carbs. Ano po? It's not only the rice. Many times sa mga nag-low carb, dumarating itong phenomenon na ito. Kung saan, for example, you already reached your ideal weight. And kung hindi kayo mindful and you don't really strictly follow a specific kind of program or guide, like itong case natin, meron tayong food guide, ano po, then this thing can happen, carb creep. So, ibig sabihin, even though you're consistently avoiding rice, but you're not conscious of the other carbs. For example, napapakain na kayo ng kamote, right? Even though maraming sabi, oh, healthy yan. Certainly healthier than other things, but again, be mindful of the carbs. Maraming mga bagay na healthy, pero yung kanilang carb content mataas. And if you start slowly consuming them, so for example, saba, right? Saging na saba, then you're slowly getting into this phenomenon ng carb creep. Hindi niyo napapansin na unti-unti na pala kayong nag-a-add. Kasi syempre, kampante na kayo. Nandun na kayo sa ideal weight ninyo. You like it there, right? And then you're starting to give allowances here and there. Pa isa-isa, kain nga ako ng saging. Kain ako ng konting apple dito. Kain ako ng, like, whatever, minsan pa yung iba will actually venture into eating carbs talaga, like tinapay. Right? Some of the people naman are pretty good. They would stick to low carb pa rin. However, they start adding fruits. So again, carb creep, unti-unti, it's creeping into your life without you noticing it. Of course, again, as lagi kong sinasabi, very important na magpasuri ulit again sa doctor. Kasi baka meron na namang mga organic causes yan. So baka nag-slow down yung thyroid po ninyo, kaya po medyo tumataas yung inyong timbang. So always, pasuri muna ulit. Just do your standard labs. Make sure na walang issue doon sa inyong mga major organ systems. Ngayon, kung normal naman lahat, wala namang issue sa inyong hormones, sa thyroid, or whatever, then consider this. baka po ang issue ay carb creep. And then, of course, the other things that I always mention sa channel ko po, kaya ngayong community natin na Level Up Wellness, kung di pa ko kayo member, please join. Doon, I also talk about other things, other than nutrition. But things that impact nutrition. So ano po yun? Poor sleep, stress, yun po, mga important things that nutrition is completely separate from. So if you're sleeping poorly and you are stressed all the time, then that will impact your weight po. Especially dito sa midsection, sa may bandang tiyan. So mga taong hindi natutulog ng maayos, mga taong laging stressed, sila po yung usually nagkakaroon ng abdominal fat. Gawa po ng stress hormone na cortisol. So consider those other things po. So carb creep and all the other non-food related issues that can impact your weight loss journey. Specifically po yung stress, sleep, and then movement. Although sabi ko nga sa latest post ko, you don't necessarily need to exercise to lose weight, but exercise is part of optimized wellness kasi napakaraming magandang effect din po yung exercise. So also if you're not moving regularly, that can also impact yung inyong pong weight as you grow older. Kasi remember po, nagbabago yung ating hormones. Nagbabago po yan as we near certain periods of our life like menopause. May effect din po yan sa weight loss. Pag-usapan natin yan in another broadcast kasi I want to talk about menopause and effects sa low carb. So yun na lang po muna ang aking mga sasagutin. I will come back here again next week. So 3 beses sa isang linggo po tayong nag-broadcast. We will look at your questions po. Thank you for tuning in. And I will upload po yung mga pag-usapan natin ngayon na visuals about what are the foods that we need to eat para naman tayo ay pumayat at maging healthy. Kasi pag kinain natin itong mga low-carb food na less stimulating kay boss insulin, it will help improve our medical conditions dahil karamihan ng mga modern-day medical conditions are lifestyle-related. So these are the high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, even yung mga things like PCOS, mga inflammatory conditions, mga sakit sa kasukasuan. These are all mainly lifestyle-related. So if we are consistent and regular sa ating low-carb nutrition, intermittent fasting lifestyle, weight loss and reversal of these medical conditions are very, very possible and done in a safe way. So yun lamang po. I'll see you all again soon. And yeah, bye for now. Use the food guide po and join our community. So yun lamang po. Bye!